A ilha de São Jacinto é uma das ilhas mais pequenas de Goa, situada a poucos quilómetros da cidade de Vasco da Gama. É conhecido como a Ilha do Mistério. Vamos descobrir porquê.
There is a history behind Saint Jacinto. He is our patron saint, and he is from Poland. And the history tells us that during the Turks, there was a place like this only, and he had to cross the river because they were Turks were they were harassing the Catholic people, and he had to flee. In fact they had put fire for the church, and he took the Blessed Sacrament, and then he was so much devoted to Our Lady that he heard that, but Jacinto, why you are leaving me? And that's why he had to carry the statue of Our Lady also. And then when he reached the river, since he could not, there were no canoes, nothing, and he just walked on the water. That was his third miracle during his lifetime. He made thrice he did this, and this particular was the last time that he carried the Blessed Sacrament in his hand, one hand, and the statue of Our Lady, and he waded across the river. So, and that is why our forefathers thought it proper for this particular saint to be installed here, because this was people used to go walking across the river because it used to get dried up. So that is what the history behind it.
Saint Jacinto is a Dominican priest, and therefore the chapel on top is Saint Dominic. He belonged to Dominican society, and Dominican fathers were here. Maybe they called this place Saint Jacinto because they were there.
Saint Dominic Chapel is on top, and he has been kept down. So the our forefathers also have taught about that, and since he is the chief founder of that particular order, he has been kept on top of the hill, and then he is kept down. So because he is the follower of him.
You see, the chapels, churches in any part, they held a very important position in the lives of the people. So after the chapel came, maybe the chapel began to own that land.
Everybody who was in the island and in the Satset and Badesh Taluka were converted. Large section of population were converted to Christianity, and this created a special nucleus of Christian population in the coastal area, because they didn't spare anyone. But many people from the branch of the family, they didn't like to embrace Christianity. And they left and they went to Ponda and other areas where not under Portuguese rule.
Previously, they say there was a Hindu here who owns this whole island. Then he gave up and he went. And then slowly the villages came, I think.
We don't know whether that is a fact. You know, there are a lot of stories. This is folklore. Folklore and history, you know, we need to sift history from folklore. But I personally feel that only after 17th century, that island was occupied by the Portuguese as a military base.
Even before 1731, it is supposed to be a secretarial housing of the Portuguese regime.
It is known also as the island of Secretario. Secretarium was a high post of secretary in the 16th century. Was like our chief secretary of present days.
From 17th century onwards, when fort was constructed by the Portuguese, garrison, it would be garrisoned, and those people must have lived there.
They placed one central fort at Cabo, and on the north another fort at Aguada, and at south at Marvagoa. And these three were powerful forts that go ahead. This is this defensive system. This, you know, for nearly 42 years, The Dutch made several attempts to enter in these two rivers, but they could not succeed because of this defensive system. And Portuguese also had made a provision that in case the Dutch enters, then they would have second line of defense. The second line of defense was the island of San Jacinto. There they have got, still the ramparts of the forts can be seen even today. So they had nearly 9 or 10 cannons placed at that place.
No fundo, a ilha toda resume-se a um monte e no cimo do monte uma capela. É para lá que vamos caminhar. A vegetação que encontramos pelo caminho é de facto fantástica. Não admira que pessoas como Dimas Bosque se tenham apaixonado por esta ilha. Este médico português, aliás, tinha um sonho: estudar a flora de São Jacinto. Viveu aqui durante 5 anos, estudando com todos os pormenores as plantas desta ilha, mas morre assim que chega a Portugal. O livro nunca chega a ser publicado. Ninguém sabe sequer onde está o manuscrito. Morre assim uma das pesquisas mais exaustivas alguma vez feitas sobre a ilha de São Jacinto. Chegar lá acima não é propriamente fácil, mas vale a pena. Daqui facilmente apercebemos porque é que a capela foi construída neste local, mas o que ainda não se percebeu até hoje é o mistério que ela encerra.
Inside the chapel, there is a open hole like that. They used to go from from here to Siridam.
That tunnel which has been there is linking to that church at Saint Jesus of Nazareth. So it goes under the water, under the river. That is what we have been told, but how far it is true, we do not know.
That one is Siridam Church. Siridam Church, and that this chapel is there, no? That is Saint Dominic Chapel. Tunnel is from there to there. Siridam.
यहाँ आता भुयाँ रहा सत्या उस यहाँ तो रहा था उस चीज तो दलर वो सॉन्ग में होता तिंगा सुर भुयाँ रहा ये भी जुयार बुट्टे दोरिया ताऊचन नो दोरिया ताऊचन यहाँ था बोरे उस चीज दलर को होता पुनी उस चीज दलर बिरान न थी ऐसे मुंडा वैसे सगले बोरे हाले पाउंडे सार की वस पात सार की सेम रस्तो हाला सार को चोलपाक रस्तो हाला आणि हाली पळय इसकात आणि हे सारखे कोर आले हे कोर आले म्हणजे कितें ते आदल्या मनशांनी ते कातलेले आनी सारखे कोर केलेले ते आतां कितें जालां पावसान ते हे बरें उंच आले हे पावसान ल्हव देवन सकयल गेलो हिंगा फोबर ना हाली हिंगा भुंयार आहा पळय ती जायतो लोक येवन वयतालो पण आमी अकस्मात आमकां एक आदी पाद्री आलो धाकटे आसतना दाखयलेले हिंगा भुंयार आहा म्हणून ते पाद्रीन आमकां हाडून हिंगा दाखयलें भुंयार आहा म्हणून आमी बरे भितर वयताले धाकटो आसतना पाद्री पयलो वयतालो मागीर हाटा आमी वयताले मागीर इल्या कुडक्याक सावन आमकां वत्तालो भायर हाडटालो मागीर आनीक दुसरो पाद्री येयलो तो पाद्री हिंगा खोपेलां रावतालो आनी तेणें तें सुणें पोसलेलें तें सुणें पोसून तो पाद्री भितर सरलो आनी सुणें आनी पाद्रीन आत दवरली हातींत ती आत जेवन वयता आसतना पाद्री बरो पयस पावलो म्हणजे दर्यातून पावलो तें सुणें भायर सरलें काळोख जालो न्हू आनी तो पाद्री आत जेवन गेलो मुखार तें सुणें भायर सरलें मागीर तें सुणें भायर सरलें आनी तें कोपेला घरान बुंगतालें तिलें कळलें त्या लोकांक कित्याक बुंगता म्हणून पाद्री जाल्यार पाद्री ना म्हणून.
There is a popular folklore, like if you talk to the old people, they will tell you that every cave and tunnel, a priest went inside, he was followed by a dog, the dog came out and the priest never came out. This is the popular story. Now again, it becomes very difficult to establish the priest, as you are saying, that church and the tunnel, some kind of a connection, because these are basically all speculations about, especially about San Jacinto Island. No, it is a big mystery, as I've said earlier. For me, it is a mystery.
Como nos contou o Padre Barreto, ao todo existem 30 famílias nesta ilha, ou seja, 150 pessoas, todas católicas. Aos domingos, nunca faltam à missa celebrada na igreja de São Jacinto.
We only go there, use the chapel for during Easter time, during the Lenten time. Twice we go there. We actually take the procession of Jesus with the cross on top of the hill on the third Sunday of Lent, then again on Good Friday day. Then in the month of May we celebrate the feast of Saint Dominic. So these 3 days we celebrate there. But since people previously the priests who were well-to-do, in good health, they used to go every week to say mass there. But now some of the priests, they can't climb the hill. Even we can't climb the hill. Becomes exhausted, so that's why they don't go. Otherwise, we normally, the earlier priests, they used to go and say mass. So that was much in use then.